Today we're going to look at ST 48.10. This on page 164 of ST 48. Yama Devadutta Sutta. The Yama Discourse on the Divine Messengers. A3.35. The theme is on the three realities of sentient existence. This is one of the key suttas in terms of teaching as well as in the story of the life of the Buddha that we are so familiar with. That is the three signs. Okay, the translation starts on page 177. There are lots of extra important notes there if you like to read. But for the time allocated to us, we will just do a short reflection on the essentials of this sutta, the Yama Discourse on the Divine Messengers. So here we have two important terms. One is Yama, King Yama of the underworld. Usually we know him as something like the Lord of the Hell States. But apparently he sort of counsels the people who come before him. So his role is very different from any other kind of the Lord of the the Lord of the Dead or the Lord of the Underworld, if you like. In the sutta we will see in more detail the role that he plays, and it's a very interesting, very unique role in the history of religion. And then you have the Divine Messengers, Devadutta. Here again, there is a kind of a sense of mythology here, but there is a very important device here, used a teaching device to convey the urgency of reflecting on the basic nature of life, that is the 3Ds, decay, disease, death, old age, sickness and death. So in this sutta, King Yama calls them the Divine Messengers. It is as if the impression we get is that King Yama sends forth these devas or Divine Messengers to remind us of the real state of the world, our human state, if you like. So, how are these two related? How is King Yama, the underworld, and his messengers related? Well, basically, King Yama is saying we should heed the three messengers who are telling us the world is such that we all change, we decay, there is old age, then there is sickness, and there is death. And because of this, we should practice the Dharma. We should prepare ourselves to live the good life so that we do not fall into the hell states to face King Yama. So essentially it is a very simple structure, very simple story for the man in the street to listen to and to practice, in other words. Okay, let's start with the sutta. Bhikshus, there are these three divine messengers. What are they? Here, bhikshus, someone conducts himself badly through the body, conducts himself badly through speech, conducts himself badly through the mind. Having conducted himself badly through the body, speech and the mind, with the bodies breaking up after death, is reborn in the plane of misery, a bad destination, a lower realm in hell. Okay, this paragraph is very important to examine before we continue. Now, first of all, the Buddha says there are these three divine messengers. And then straight away the Buddha talks about body, speech and mind, that if anyone were not to conduct themselves properly through the three doors of action, body, speech and mind, then the result would be, again here notice, it's not just hell, it says a lower realm. It can be any of the suffering states. So there is no fixed destiny here. We can say basically here is the teaching of karma. If we do something bad, the intention is unwholesome, then the result will be bad. It can be very bad, in other words, so as the sutta will show us. Then the Buddha goes on and says in section 3, now bhikshus, the hell wardens, so these beings fall into hell, right? So the Buddha continues and say, now bhikshus, the hell wardens see such a being by both arms and present him to King Yama. All right. So remember, this is a story, okay, telling us what happens to evildoers. So then the hell being, the hell warden says, Sire, he's addressing King Yama, this man has ill-treated his mother, ill-treated his father, ill-treated recluses, ill-treated Brahmins. Okay, so here, recluses are generally all those people who practice renunciation. The Brahmins are referred to any teacher who practices the right way. This is not referring to a class. It refers to type of people, like in our modern society we will say the professional teachers, those who are working in the office, like that. So this is very important to remember, because the Buddha was clearly against the caste system. In fact, very often the monks themselves, any kind of monks from the lowest class upwards, if they are good practitioners, they are called the true Brahmin. So the Buddha has given a new meaning to the word Brahmin, not as a caste-born person, but as someone who is noble by action, by spirit and practice, and a good example to others. This person is noble, in other words. He has no respect for the elders of his clan. Let the king order his punishment. Now notice here that it is said, let the king order his punishment, but nothing happens here. There is no ordering of punishment at all. This is the impression that people have. But throughout the story here, you find that all Buddha does is to question this person before him, kind of advise him, why were you not mindful, and so on, as we will see in a moment. Okay, the sutta continues. Then bhikshus, King Yama questions, interrogates, cross-questions him about the first divine messengers. So now the three messengers, the story starts, the reflection starts. My good man, do you not see the first divine messenger appear amongst humans? He says, I did not, Bhante. Then bhikshus, King Yama said this to him. So this person before, or this being before the King Yama, doesn't know what the first messenger is. And then King Yama explains in detail, in beautiful language, my good man, have you never seen amongst humans an old man or old woman, 80, 90 or 100 years old, crooked as a rafter, bent double, leaning on a stick, trembling as he goes, wretched youth long gone, with broken teeth, with grey hair, with scanty hair or bald-headed, with blotches all over his body. So that's a description, okay? Then the man, this being before King Yama, says, yes, I have seen Bhante. So now he knows, okay? He's actually seen this. Then King Yama gives his admonition, gives his advice. Section 6. Then bhikshus King Yama says this to him. My good man, did it never occur to you, an intelligent and mature man, I too am subject to decay or to old age. I am not free from decay. Surely I had better do good through body, speech and mind. So there you are. This is the question that King Yama asked every one of those beings who were reborn in the lower realm and appear before him. So have you not seen this messenger, this sign, this reality of decay, old age? And hasn't it occurred to you that we all change, we grow, we become different, and this should inspire you to do good through body, speech and mind? Then the man replies and says, the being replies, I was unable to, Bhante. I was negligent, careless, heedless. So the first part ends here. There's a bit more. Okay, a bit more before. Then Bhikshu King Yama says this to him: "My good man, through negligence you have failed to do good through body, speech and mind. This, my good man, will surely work on you according to that negligence." Notice here, again King Yama does not dispense any kind of punishment on this being. He says, because you have done this, this is your karma, this is what's going to happen. You're going to face the fruit, you're going to face the result. This bad deed was not done by your mother, nor by your father, nor by your brother, nor by your sister, nor by your friends and companions, nor by your kinsmen and relatives, nor by recluses and Brahmins, nor by the gods. This bad deed was done by you yourself, and you yourself will feel the result. There you are, it's so clear. King Yama is actually teaching this person, this being has come before him, that he has created bad karma, and here he is falling into the suffering state. So this is the first messenger, okay? And the message again given or reminded by King Yama. Then comes the second messenger, section 9. Then after questioning, interrogating, cross-questioning him about the first divine messenger, King Yama questions, interrogates, cross-questions him about the second divine messenger. My good man, did you not see the second divine messenger appear amongst humans? He says, I did not, Bhante. Then Bhikshu King Yama says this to him: my good man, have you never seen amongst humans a sick man or sick woman, afflicted, suffering and gravely ill, lying foul in his own excrement and urine, lifted up by some and set down by others? He says, yes, I have seen, Bhante. Right? So when asked, does he know what this divine messenger is? The person doesn't know, but King Yama describes in detail that. He says, oh yes, I've seen that. Then Bhikshu King Yama says this to him: my good man, did it never occur to you an intelligent and mature man? I too am subject to disease. I am not free from disease. Surely I had better do good through body, speech and mind. He says, I was unable to, Bhante, I was negligent. Then Bhikshu King Yama says, my good man, through negligence you have failed to do good through body, speech and mind. This, my good man, will surely work on you to that negligence, according to that negligence. And that is, the karma will take its course. And then comes a very important reminder to us: this bad deed was not done by your mother or your father, not done by anyone else, but you yourself. The bad deed was done by you yourself, and you yourself will feel the result. And this is a very important teaching of self-accountability, right? So here, who's teaching here really? Of course, it's the Buddha. The Buddha is teaching the Dharma through the agency of King Yama, right? So Yama is saying, you are responsible for your actions. Do not blame anyone. Now comes the third divine messenger. Then after questioning, interrogating, cross-questioning him about the second divine messenger, King Yama questions, interrogates, and cross-questions him about the third divine messenger. So here again, King Yama asks in this mention, no, I have not heard of the third divine messenger. Then King Yama explains in detail. King Yama says, okay, my good man, have you never seen amongst humans a dead man or a dead woman, dead for a day, dead for 2 days, dead for 3 days, bloated up, livid and oozing with impurities? Then The man says, "Oh yes, I've seen that." Bhante simply means sir. Then Bhikshu's King Yama says to him, "My good man, did it never occur to you, an intelligent and mature man, I too am subject to death. I am not free from death. Surely I had better do good through body, speech and mind." And then the man says, "I was unable to, Bhante, I was negligent." Then King Yama goes on to say, remind this person of self-accountability, self-responsibility. Says, this action you have done is not done by anyone else. It's you yourself who have done this action. This bad deed was done by you yourself, and you yourself will feel its result. So this, in other words, there's no way of saying, "Oh, someone, please take away the suffering from me," or "someone else suffer from me." You have to face it yourself, in other words. So these are the three divine messengers. They're very short. Because of the shortness of this part, it shows that this sutta is very old, because there's another version in the Majjhima Nikaya which has got 5 messengers, including a little baby and then a criminal being punished. So that one is, you might say, a little more developed, but this is probably the original version of the story. So here again, just a moment for us to reflect. The 3 divine messengers are the 3 Ds: decay, disease, death. These are the 3 universal beds, if you like. These are the 3 things that occur to every living being. We grow old, we fall sick, we die. Now, if that's the case, we should be doing good deeds. In other words, we should be telling ourselves, let me do something about this. To do something about this means to do good, to do what benefits us, benefits others, so that we suffer less, we are happier, and we do not fall into suffering states. So King Yama represents these suffering states. So it doesn't matter here whether King Yama really exists or not. It's just an academic question. In this sutta, clearly King Yama is used, as people who are familiar with literature, as a kind of a spokesman, as a kind of medium to convey this very important teaching, reflection on impermanence. So after King Yama has spoken, reminding those hell beings, those reborn and suffering states before him, he falls silent, nothing more to say. Let's look at this part, section 19. Then after questioning, interrogating, cross-questioning him about the 3rd divine messenger, King Yama falls silent. This is the famous King Yama silence, which is mentioned in my article on Silence of the Buddha. Notice here again, King Yama doesn't say anything. No orders are given. The sutta simply says in the next paragraph, section 20, now the hell wardens torture him with the 5 pinions. They drive a red-hot iron through one hand, and then another red-hot iron through the other hand, and so on. So in other words, it's a very painful kind of, you can imagine this horrible kind of suffering. Then the pain is described, section 21. There he suffers sharp, piercing, racking pains, yet he does not die, so long as the result of that bad deed or bad karma is not exhausted. So notice, he suffers as long as his karma lasts. So there's no fixed period in the hell state. So what's interesting here is what kind of being is this who's suffering? Alright, so there are many other kinds of suffering which I won't go into. It's not very helpful. You can read through this with a strong stomach if you like. It's made to suffer all kinds of terrible pain, very much a torture which the kings would use in those ancient times. He's even thrown into a pot of boiling oil, things like that. This hell being is also thrown into a big cauldron of boiling oil and so on. And he doesn't die. So what's the idea here? The idea here is that this being feels the pain. I mean, if we just die, then of course you understand we don't feel the pain anymore. But here is that you go on feeling this pain. So this is how suffering occurs. This is what is meant by the hell state. This painful, racking, piercing feeling goes on and on. So in other words, it's not really a bodily thing. It's a mental experience. Here we're talking about hell beings. The hell beings do not have body like ours. It's the mental state. That's how people suffer. So we ask the question, is hell or other hells real? Well, if they are not places, not the ones you see in the movie. In Singapore, we have a place called Haw Villa. We see all those cement little statues of all the hells according to Chinese mythology. Yes, the hell pains are real as you and I feel anything. We can feel that kind of pain if we build up such bad karma. It will come to us right here, right now. So hell is not a place you go to. In a sense, hell comes to us. It's our mental state, in other words. So if you look carefully, reflect carefully in this sutta, this is what you will get. Now the sutta goes on to talk about this great hell called niraya and so on. And it's a big room all made of metals, very hot and burning and so on. So all this to show the worst imaginable pain there is. And we will go through this if we do lots of bad things, in other words. So in a sense, well, you might say that is the Buddha trying to arouse fear in his followers? We don't often get this kind of sutta, but definitely there are ideas here which reflect the practices of the kings themselves when they torture criminals and their enemies and so on. So, and also we do see people who are doing bad suffering later. So what the Buddha is doing is saying, this is the cause of things, this is what's going to happen. So actually, if we are wise, we wouldn't want this to happen. So it's like the Buddha is telling you can prevent this, and this is how you do it, in other words. Now we come back to King Yama. Now, I want you to imagine for a while, this King Yama, imagine you're King Yama, you're sitting there somewhere, state is going to be something without sunlight, without the brightness of the normal world. So you got to imagine what kind of light there maybe comes to all the hellfire, whatever. So these are up to our imagination. In this sense, it is Buddhist mythology. So King Yama has to sit there all his life, and he has to counsel these beings who come before him every day. I don't know how many people come before him, how many beings come before him every day, but you can imagine how many bad people die every day. There are many, thousands, millions even. So imagine every one of them will have to come before him. It's not like he got them, he gathers all these beings to a big hall and then announces to them and say, okay, yes. But he doesn't address them in a big group. He addresses them one by one. This is another very important idea here. When we do good, we are alone. When we do bad, we are also alone. In other words, with our karma, we are alone. We have to face it all by ourselves. Self-accountability also. So King Yama has to do this. It's not a very pleasant job, if you like. So in the end, King Yama himself realizes something. He says, these people don't seem to change. These people don't seem to know all this basic situation of reality. So what's interesting here is that we see King Yama as also one of the people who is learning something here also. He's not just advising these hell beings, he's also learning something. So he's not this kind of mechanical, machine-like character who just dispenses punishment and a lot of hell, He is almost real, like us. he begins to wonder, what am I doing here? In other words, it's just like you have been working, doing a job, you say, I don't like this job, I want to get a new job. And this is exactly what King Yama thinks. He says, look at 28, the Buddha says, it occurred in the past, bhikshus, that King Yama thought, it is said, sirs, these amongst humans who do bad, those among humans who do bad, unwholesome deeds, indeed have all these diverse kinds of tortures inflicted upon them. Notice, King Yama doesn't say, I inflict, he just says, well, this is what happens. Then he makes this aspiration, oh, that I might attain the human state. So in other words, Yama is not human himself. Right? So this is another big question. What kind of being is he? Is he a deva? Is he a hell being himself? So we're not told exactly what kind of being he is. So, oh, that I might attain the human state. That a Tathagata, Daskanda, the Buddha, worthy and fully self-awakened, might appear among humans. That I might wait on that Blessed One. That the Blessed One might teach me Dharma. And that I might come to understand the Blessed One's Dharma. So here he aspires to say, I want to be a human, I want to meet the Buddha, become wise myself, and be free of this job that I have, this duty I have to do. It's not very pleasant. You're part of hell too, you know. So in a sense, King Yama also is suffering. So King Yama decides to quit his job. He says, one day I'm going to give up this job. So then the Buddha goes on and says, Bhikshus, I tell you this, not as something I've heard from another recluse or Brahmin. I tell you as something I've actually known for myself, seen for myself, discovered for myself. Here means that the Buddha is saying, this is a teaching I'm giving you. It's not a story, a teaching from somewhere else. Then the sutta closes with 4 verses, kind of summarizing the whole sutta. Jodita deva dute hi ye pamajanti manava te digaratan sochanti hina kayupaganara. Though warned by the divine messengers, human beings are still negligent. Long do they grieve, as men fallen into lowly crowds or inferior worlds. Okay? Notice here the imagery of crowds. Hell is a crowded place, very crowded indeed, where people are crammed together like sardines, whereas heaven is the opposite, very spacious, very open. So this idea of space is very interesting in Buddhism. Verse 31, Ye chako deva dutehi santo sapurisa ida jodita nappamajanti arya dhamme kudachana. When warned by the divine messengers, the good people at peace here are not heedless but practice well the noble Dharma. Right, so basically the Buddha here is reminding us, reflect on the 3 divine messengers, meaning the 3 realities of life: decay, disease, death. Upadane bhayang disva jati marana sambhave anupada vimuchanti jati marana sankhaye. Seeing danger in clinging for the birth and death it brings, by not clinging they are freed through the end of birth and death. That is nirvana, of course. That's the goal. Ye kemapata sukita ditta dhamma bhinibhuta sabbavera bhayatita sabbadukhang upachabhunti. Happy are they who have attained the secure, that is nirvana, perfectly cool here and now, beyond all hate and fear, having overcome all pain. So this is solid Dharma, in other words, whereas the first part is a story for the common people in the street, for people who are too busy to practice. So the Buddha is saying basically, look at the world, see the reality of the world. All things change, People fall sick, people die. That's reality. So if that's the case, do good, do not get into trouble, live happily and kindly. That way you will not face the fruits of bad karma. And on the contrary, you face good karma and be happy in the future too. Now let us close the short reflection. The divine messengers are always there around us, even right now, telling us we all have to face decay, disease, death. This is a reflection in impermanence to remind us to live a life of quality, facing reality and not being caught up in it with the decay, disease and death. Instead, we remind ourselves that by doing good, we free ourselves from the effects of negative karma. Reflecting in this way is wonderful good karma. With the power of such karma, may we be well. Let us send out our loving kindness to all our loved ones. May they be well and happy. To those who are practicing and teaching Dharma, may they be well and happy too. And to all those who are themselves practicing and teaching the Dharma too. And by the same token, through the blessings of the three jewels, let us send out our loving kindness to those who are themselves seeking the truth and trying to work their way to awakening in this life itself. And finally to those who have difficulties with the teaching, who are lost, may they find the right way, the true way in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Well, it's good. You're just in time for this interesting lesson.
Yeah.